The prophecy. By the time the recluse Sumittā had become accomplished in the practices of asceticism, by following the teachings of noble ascetics, and had gained the absorptions, jhana, and superknowledges, abhina, there appeared in the world Buddha Dīpaṅkara, Lord of the Three Worlds. 32 wondrous events, such as a quake of the 10,000 world element, occurred on 4 occasions concerning the appearance of Buddha Dīpaṅkara, at his conception, birth, becoming a Buddha, and the teaching of the first discourse. But Sumittā was not aware of these wondrous events, as he was then totally taken with the bliss of the absorptions, jhana. After his awakening, Buddha Dīpaṅkara taught the first discourse to 100,000 billion Devas and human beings at Sundarama. After that, he set out on a journey with an intention of removing the mental defilements of beings by pouring on them the purifying water of Dhamma, like the heavy rain that falls on all 4 continents. Then with 400,000 arahats, he went to the city of Rammavatī and stayed at Sudassena Monastery. Meanwhile, Sumittā was enjoying the bliss of the absorptions, jhana, in the forest, completely unaware of the appearance of Buddha Dīpaṅkara in the world. On hearing of the Buddha's arrival at Sudassena Monastery, the citizens of Rammavatī, after their morning meal, carried excellent gifts for medicinal use, such as butter, ghee, etc., as well as flowers and scents, and went into the presence of the Buddha. Having paid their respects to the Buddha and honored him with flowers, scents, etc., they sat down at suitable places and listened to his exalted discourse. By the end of the discourse, they invited him, together with his disciples, the Sangha, to the next day's meal, and having circumambulated the Buddha in salutation, they left the monastery. Preparations to receive Buddha Dīpaṅkara. The next day, the citizens of Rammavatī were preparing elaborately for the incomparably great almsgiving, Asadisa Mahadana. A pavilion was set up, and pure, tender, blue lotuses were strewn in it. The air was refreshed with 4 kinds of perfume. Sweet-smelling flowers made from rice flakes were scattered. Pots of cool sweet water were covered with emerald green banana leaves and placed at the 4 corners of the pavilion. A canopy, decorated with stars of gold, silver, and ruby, was fixed to the ceiling of the pavilion. Scented flowers and jewels, like blooms formed into garlands and festoons, were hung here and there. When the decorations of the pavilion were complete, the citizens started to make the city clean and tidy. On both sides of the main road were placed water pots, flowers, banana plants complete with bunches of fruit. Flags, banners, and streamers were hung up, and decorative screens were put up at suitable places. When the necessary preparations had thus been made in the city, the citizens attended to mending the road which the Buddha would take in entering the city. They filled holes and cracks caused by floods with earth, and they leveled the uneven muddy ground. They also covered the road with pearl white sand and strewed it with flowers of rice flakes. Thus, they made all the arrangements and preparations for the ceremonial almsgiving. At that time, the recluse Sumittā levitated from his hermitage and, while traveling through the air, saw the citizens of Rammavatī engaging cheerfully in road-mending and decorating. Wondering what was going on below, he alighted and stood at an appropriate place while the people were watching him. Then he asked, "You are mending the road so happily and enthusiastically. For whose benefit are you mending the road?" The people then answered, BV 2.41. Venerable Sumittā, there has appeared in this world the incomparable Buddha Dīpaṅkara, who has conquered the 5 kinds of death, Mara. He is the supreme Lord of the whole world. We are mending the road for his visit. From this conversation, it may be noted that Buddha Dīpaṅkara appeared long after Sumittā had attained the absorptions and superknowledges. Sumittā did not happen to be aware of Dīpaṅkara's conception, birth, becoming a Buddha, and teaching of the first discourse because he had wandered about only in the forests and in the sky, totally absorbed in the bliss of the absorptions and in the exercise of the superknowledges, taking no interest in any event of the human world. It was only while he was traveling through the air and saw the people of Rammavatī were attending to road mending and cleaning that he descended to earth to ask what was going on. This suggests that Sumittā was some few thousand years old at that time, as the duration of life, when Buddha Dīpaṅkara appeared, was 100,000 years. Sumedha helps with road-mending. Sumedha was filled with joy on hearing the word Buddha uttered by the people of Rammavatī. He experienced great mental happiness and repeated the word Buddha, Buddha, as he could not contain the intense joy that had arisen in him. Standing on the spot where he had descended, Sumittā was filled with happiness and also stirred by spiritual urgency, Savega. He thought thus, I will sow excellent seeds of merit in the fertile ground of this Buddha Dīpaṅkara for the cultivation of good deeds. Rare and difficult indeed, it is to witness the happy moment of a Buddha's appearance. That happy moment has now come to me. Let me not let it pass by unheeded. Having thought thus, he asked the people, Men, if you are preparing the road for the Buddha's visit, allot me a stretch of the road. I, too, would like to participate in your road-mending work. Very well, said the people. And because they were confident that he was a person of great supernormal powers, they allotted him a big, boggy, and very uneven portion of ground which would be difficult to mend. As they assigned him his share of work, they said, You may improve and make it delightful with decorations. Then Sumittā, with his heart gladdened by thinking of the attributes of the Buddha, decided, I can mend the road with my supernormal powers so that it will look pleasant. But if I do so, the people around me may not think highly of it, because it will be done easily in an instant. Today I should do my duties with my own physical labor. Having decided thus, he filled the bob with earth which he carried from a distance. Sumedha helps with road-mending. Sumedha was filled with joy on hearing the word Buddha uttered by the people of Rammavatī. He experienced great mental happiness and repeated the word Buddha, Buddha, as he could not contain the intense joy that had arisen in him. Standing on the spot where he had descended, Sumittā was filled with happiness and also stirred by spiritual urgency, Savega. He thought thus, I will sow excellent seeds of merit in the fertile ground of this Buddha Dīpaṅkara for the cultivation of good deeds. Rare and difficult, indeed, it is to witness the happy moment of a Buddha's appearance. That happy moment has now come to me. Let me not let it pass by unheeded. Having thought thus, he asked the people, Men, if you are preparing the road for the Buddha's visit, allot me a stretch of the road. I, too, would like to participate in your road-mending work. Very well, said the people. And because they were confident that he was a person of great supernormal powers, they allotted him a big, boggy, and very uneven portion of ground which would be difficult to mend. As they assigned him a share of work, they said, You may improve and make it delightful with decorations. Then Sumittā, with his heart gladdened by thinking of the attributes of the Buddha, decided, I can mend the road with my supernormal powers so that it will look pleasant. But if I do so, the people around me may not think highly of it, because it will be done easily, in an instant. Today, I should do my duties with my own physical labor. Having decided thus, he filled the bob with earth which he carried from a distance. The arrival of Buddha Dīpaṅkara. Before Sumittā could finish his assigned work, Buddha Dīpaṅkara came along the road with 400,000 arahats, who were all endowed with the 6 super colleges, who could not be shaken by the 8 vicissitudes of the world, and who were purified of mental defilements. When Buddha Dīpaṅkara came along the road with 400,000 arahats, both Devas and humans welcomed them with the beating of drums. They also expressed their joy by singing songs of welcome in honor of him. At that time, human beings were visible to Devas and Devas were visible to human beings. All these beings, divine and human, followed the Buddha, some raising their hands in adoration and others playing their respective musical instruments. Devas, coming along through the air, tossed and scattered celestial flowers, such as mandarava, lotus, Paduma, and Kovira, all over the place, up and down, front and behind, left and right, in honor of the Buddha. Humans also did similar honor to the Buddha with such flowers as kampak, kampaka, sarala, Indian putat, mukalinda, ironwood naga, Indian laurel, panaga, and ketaki. Sumedha gazed, unblinking, at the Buddha's person, which was endowed with the 32 marks of a great man and further adorned with the 80 minor marks. He witnessed the Buddha's resplendent person, looking as if of solid gold, at the height of glory, with the bright aura always around him and the 6 radiances emanating from his body flashing like lightning against the sapphire blue sky. Then he decided thus, "Today, I ought to abandon my life in the presence of the Buddha. Let him not tread in the mud and suffer discomfort. Let the Buddha and all his 400,000 arahats tread on my back and walk just as they would do on ruby-colored planks of a bridge. Using my body as a footpath by the Buddha and his arahats will definitely bring me long-lasting welfare and happiness." Having made up his mind thus, he loosened his hair knot, spread a mat of hide and fiber robe on the murky swamp, and then prostrated himself on them, like a bridge constructed of ruby-colored wooden planks. Sumedha's aspiration towards Buddhahood. So to Sumedha, who had prostrated himself, the aspiration to become a Buddha arose, BV 2.5458. If I so desire, this very day, I can become an arahat in whom the pollutants sasava are exhausted and mental defilements removed. But what does it profit me to realize the arahat fruition and nibbana as an obscure disciple in the dispensation of Buddha Dīpaṅkara? I will exert my utmost for the attainment of omniscient Buddhahood. What is the use of selfishly escaping the cycle of births alone, in spite of the fact that I am a superior person, fully aware of my prowess and wisdom, faith and energy? I will strive to become an omniscient Buddha and liberate all beings, including Devas, from the cycle of births, which is a sea of suffering. After becoming an omniscient Buddha, omniscient Buddhahood myself, which is the result of my matchless deed of lying prostrate in the mud and making myself a kind of bridge for the supreme Buddha Dīpaṅkara, I will rescue beings out of the cycle of births, which is a sea of suffering. After crossing over the stream of Sasra and leaving behind the 3 realms of existences, I will, by myself, first embark on the Dhamma raft of the noble path of 8 constituents and go to the rescue of all beings, including Devas. Thus, his mind was bent upon being a Buddha. Sumittā, the future Yasodharā. While Sumedha was making his resolution to attain Buddhahood, a young Brahmin maiden named Sumittā went to join the people who were gathering in the presence of the Buddha. She brought 8 lotus blooms to honor the Buddha when she was in the middle of the crowd, and as soon as her eyes fell on Sumedha, she was seized with a sudden great love for him. Though she wanted to offer him some gifts, she had nothing but the 8 lotus blooms. Then she said to him, "Venerable recluse, I give you 5 lotus blooms so that you may offer them to the Buddha yourself. The remaining 3 blooms are for my own offering to the Buddha." She then handed the 5 lotus blooms to Sumedha and expressed her wish, saying, "Venerable recluse, throughout the period you are fulfilling the perfections to become a Buddha. May I be the partner who shares your life." Sumedha accepted the lotus blooms from the young lady Sumittā and, in the midst of the crowd, offered them to Buddha Dīpaṅkara, who had come towards him, and he prayed for the attainment of perfect self-awakening. Observing the scene that had taken place between Sumedha and Sumittā, the Buddha made the prediction in the midst of the multitude thus, Yasodharā Theri Apadana, TAP 50. Sumedha, this girl Sumittā, will be your partner who will share her life with you, assisting you with equal fervor and deed for your becoming a Buddha. She will be pleasing to you with her every thought, word, and deed. She will be lovely in appearance, pleasing, of sweet speech, and a delight to the heart. In your dispensation as a Buddha, in your final existence, she will become a female disciple who will receive your spiritual inheritance of awakening complete with supernormal psychic powers. The utterance of the prophecy. As mentioned under Chapter 2, the rare appearance of a Buddha, there was none among the people who did not aspire to Buddhahood on beholding a Buddha's splendor. Although they aspired to Buddhahood, not one of them was qualified to become a Buddha. But unlike this multitude of people, Sumittā was fully endowed with all requisites for his becoming a Buddha. In fact, he was inclined to become a Buddha as he was endowed with the 8 factors required for receiving the prophecy. These 8 factors are: 1. Being a human being. 2. Being a male person. 3. Having fulfilled all conditions necessary for the realization of awakening. 4. Meeting with a living Buddha. 5. Being an ascetic who believes in the law of deeds and their results, 6. Having acquired the absorptions, jhana, and superknowledges, abhina. 7. Being prepared to lay down his life for the well-being of a Buddha. Knowing that Sumittā was endowed with these requisite qualifications, Buddha Dīpaṅkara went to Sumedha and, standing at the head of his prostrate body, exercised his supernormal psychic power of seeing into the future to find out whether Sumittā's aspiration to become a Buddha would be fulfilled, and said, Sumittā will become a Buddha, Gautama by name, after 4 immeasurable periods, Asakya, and 100,000 eons have passed from the present one. While still standing at his head, the Buddha uttered the prophecy in 9 verses beginning with these words, Pasatha ima taza jila agitpana, BV 2.6169. Monks, behold this matted-haired ascetic of rigorous, austere practices. The recluse Sumittā will become an awakened one among Brahmas, Devas, and human beings after innumerable eons, to be exact, after 4 immeasurable periods and 100,000 eons from now. On the threshold of his becoming a Buddha, this Sumittā will renounce the world, leaving behind the marvelously delightful city of Kapilavatthu. He will then devote himself to meditation and perform strenuous austere practices, Dukkara Kriya. While staying under the banyan tree called a Japala, he will accept the offering of milk rice and go to the river Naranjara. Naranjara is the name of the river on the banks of which was Uruvela, the scene of the Bodhisatta's sojourn after his realization at the futility of his severe austerities. He bathed in the river before he ate the meal of milk rice given by Suja. After eating the meal, the Bodhisatta launched the bowl in the river. Having reached the Naga's riverine abode, it sank down and came into contact with the bowls similarly launched by the 3 previous Buddhas of this aeon. Read the further explanations for the derivation of the river's name. When his becoming a Buddha is drawing near, he will partake of the milk rice on the river bank and approach the Bodhi tree by the path well prepared by Devas. As he reaches the Bodhi tree, which will be the site of attaining awakening, he will go round it clockwise. He will turn from south to west, from west to north, and then from north to east, and will sit down with the intentions of becoming a supremely awakened one, with none to excel him. Then, having seated himself at the foot of the Bodhi tree, he will gain insight knowledge of the 4 noble truths. The mother of this Buddha will bear the name Maya Devi. The father will be named Suddhadana. The Buddha will have the name Gautama. The pair of his chief disciples will be Kalita and Upatissa, who will be free of mental intoxicants, asava, and lust, raga, and who are calm of heart and have profound mental concentration. The monk, Ananda by name, will wait upon this Buddha as an attendant. Thence, Kema and Upalava, who are free of the mental pollutants and attachments, who have calm hearts and profound mental concentration, will become the 2 female chief disciples. The fig tree, Asatha, will be the Buddha's Bodhi tree under which he will attain awakening. Siddha and Hathalavaka will be the foremost laymen serving the Buddha. Similarly, Utterance and Nandamata will be the foremost laywomen. Acclamation by Devas and humans. On hearing the prophecy of Buddha Dīpaṅkara, who had no equal in the three worlds and who was always in pursuit of meritorious deeds, Devas and humans acclaimed with joy. It is said that the recluse Sumittā is truly the seed of a Bodhisatta. They slapped themselves on their upper arms with joy. Devas and Brahmas, who had come from the 10,000 world element together with humans, raised their hands in adoration. They also expressed their wishes, BV 2.7375. Even though we should now fail to put into practice the teaching of Buddha Dīpaṅkara, Lord of the entire world, we have encountered this noble recluse who will become a Buddha. We will then strive to attain the higher knowledge of the Dhamma. For example, there are those who try to cross a river, but cannot reach the destined landing place on the other side as they are carried away by the current of the river. They manage, however, to cling to a landing place somewhere further down the river and thence cross over to their destinations. In the same way, although we cannot yet avail ourselves of the teaching of Buddha Dīpaṅkara, we have encountered this noble recluse who is destined to become a Buddha in future, when we will attain the paths and fruitions. Buddha Dīpaṅkara proceeded to Rammavatī. After Buddha Dīpaṅkara, who had insight into the three worlds, who was the possessor of the attribute knower of the world, Loka Vidu, who was worthy of accepting the gift brought from a distance, had thus made the prediction and been honored with 8 handfuls of flowers. He departed, stepping out with his right foot placed by the side of Sumittā. From the place where the Buddha had uttered the prophecy, the 400,000 arahats also departed, keeping Sumittā on their right, after honoring him with flowers and scents. So also humans, Nagas and Gandhabas departed from there after paying obeisance to Sumittā and honoring him with flowers and scents. Amidst the honor showered on him in reverence by the Devas and citizens of Rammavatī, Buddha Dīpaṅkara, followed by the 400,000 arahats, proceeded along the well-decorated road into the city, where he took the seat especially prepared for him. Sitting down, he appeared like the morning sun rising on the top of Mount Yasodharā, just as the early radiance of the sun brings the lotus flowers into full bloom. So the Buddha would shed the radiance of awakening to enable those who were on the verge of liberation to penetrate stage by stage into the depths of the Four Noble Truths. The 400,000 arahats were also seated in an orderly manner at the places they had reached. The citizens of Rammavatī then performed the ceremony of the great, incomparable alms-giving, Asadisa to the Buddha and his monastics. When Buddha Dīpaṅkara, the leader of the three worlds, and the 400,000 arahats went out of his sight, Sumittā got up joyfully from his prostrate position. With his mind suffused with joy and happiness, exultation and delightful satisfaction, he sat cross-legged on the huge pile of flowers that were strewn in his honor by Devas and humans, and contemplated thus, BV 2.8081. I am fully accomplished in the absorptions, jhana, and have attained the height of the 5 superknowledges, abhina. Throughout the 10,000 world element, there is no ascetic who is my peer. I see none who is equal to me in the exercise of supernormal powers. Thus contemplating, he experienced intense joy and satisfaction. The 32 prophetic phenomena. When Sumittā was seated cross-legged, happy with the recollection of Buddha Dīpaṅkara's prophecy, and feeling as though he already had the precious gem of omniscient Buddhahood in his very hand, Devas and Brahmas from the 10,000 world element arrived and proclaimed with a mighty sound, BV 83-108. Noble Sumedha, 32 prophetic phenomena have now taken place. These phenomena occurred also to all previous bodhisattvas who had received the prediction and were sitting down cross-legged as you are doing now. So you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumittā, when previous bodhisattvas received the prediction, there was 39, an absence of extreme cold and heat or hotness of the weather. These two phenomena have been clearly discerned today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumittā, when previous bodhisattvas received the prediction, there was utter silence and a complete absence of disturbances over the whole 10,000 world element. These two phenomena have been clearly discerned today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumittā, when previous bodhisattvas had received the prediction, there were no violent winds blowing, there were no rivers flowing. These two phenomena have been clearly discerned today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumedha, when previous bodhisattvas received the prediction, all the terrestrial flowers and aquatic flowers bloomed simultaneously. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumedha, when previous bodhisattvas received the prediction, all the creepers and trees bore fruit simultaneously. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumittā, when previous bodhisattvas had received the prediction, all the precious jewels that lie in the sky and on earth shone bright. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumittā, when previous bodhisattvas had received the prediction, great sounds of celestial as well as earthly music were heard, without either Devas or human beings playing on the musical instruments. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumittā, when previous bodhisattvas received the prediction, strange and exquisite flowers fell from heaven like rain. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumedha, when previous bodhisattvas had received the prediction, there occurred a whirling of the great ocean and a trembling of the 10,000 world element. There have been great roars today because of these two phenomena, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumedha, on the day that previous bodhisattvas had received the prediction, there occurred an extinction of hell fires throughout the 10,000 world element. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumedha, on the day that previous bodhisattvas received the prediction, the sun became clear of blemishes. All the stars and planets were discernible during the day. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumedha, on the day that previous bodhisattvas received the prediction, water gushed from the earth without there being any rain. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumedha, on the day that previous bodhisattvas had received the prediction, the stars and planets shone with splendor. The constellation Visakha appeared in conjunction with the full moon. The same phenomena have happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumedha, on the day that previous bodhisattvas received the prediction, snakes, mongooses, and other animals which live in pits, and foxes and other animals which live in ravines, came out of their holes. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumedha, on the day that previous bodhisattvas received the prediction, there was no sign of dissatisfaction in the hearts of sentient beings, and they were 40 content with what they had. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. People are inflicted with discontent in their everyday life, never satisfied with whatever they possess. It is only on the day of a Buddha's prophecy that they are temporarily relieved of their perennial discontent. Noble Sumedha, on the day that previous bodhisattvas received the prediction, sentient beings were cured of diseases and relieved of hunger. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumedha, on the day that previous bodhisattvas received the prediction, there occurred an alleviation of attachment to sense objects in the minds of sentient beings which are also rid of ill will and delusion. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumedha, On the day that previous bodhisattas received the prediction, the minds of sentient beings were rid of fear. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumittā, on the day that previous bodhisattas received the prediction, the atmosphere was clear, free from dust, dirt, and mist. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumittā, on the day that previous bodhisattas received the prediction, the atmosphere was free of undesirable odors and filled with celestial fragrance. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumittā, on the day that previous bodhisattas received the prediction, Devas and Brahmas, except for the formless Brahmas, became visible. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumittā, on the day that previous bodhisattas received the prediction, all abodes of incessant suffering became visible. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumedha, on the day that previous bodhisattas received the prediction, walls, doors, and even mountains always opened wide and formed no obstructions or barriers. Today also, these walls, doors, and mountains became like the empty space and the open sky in every way. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Noble Sumittā, at the moment that bodhisattas received the prediction, there occurred no deaths or conceptions of beings. The same phenomenon has happened today, so you will certainly become a Buddha. Devas and Brahmas, who had arrived from the 10,000 world element, spoke words of praise and encouragement to Sumittā thus: Noble Sumittā, strive on earnestly with constant diligence. There should be no retreat. Proceed with your endeavor. We know without any doubt that you will certainly become a Buddha.